The Packers are currently 7-3 with 7 games remaining. Now, the Packers finished last year with a record of 9-8, and they ended up getting the last wild card spot. So, they only need 2 more wins to match last year. But with how the NFC is looking and how competitive it's been, I don't know if 9-8 is going to be enough to clinch a playoff spot this year. So, I wanted to go through the last 7 games and kind of break down which games we can expect the Packers to win and lose. So, this Sunday, we got the 49ers coming to Lambeau, and 49ers are currently 5-5. They just lost to Seattle this past Sunday, and the 49ers have been bad this year. They've been banged up. Brandon Ayuk's out for the year. Deebo Samuel hasn't been the same. Christian McCaffrey just came back. George Kittle's been banged up. So the 49ers, they're not the team they were last year. Also, the 49ers eliminated the Packers last year. Jordan Love threw that game-sealing interception, so I'm hoping, and I think that Jordan Love and the Packers will come out hot, and they're going to want revenge. And I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulder for what happened last year, and they want to prove that they can beat the 49ers because the Niners have been the nail in our side for the last decade, and it's getting really damn annoying how much they beat us. So I honestly think that the Packers are going to win this game. It's at home, and I've gone back and forth, but I think the Packers are going to pull this out, and this might be a game that knocks the 49ers out of the playoffs. So let's hope the Packers can get this one done. And then we got a short week because we play the Dolphins on Thanksgiving at home. So the Dolphins are on a 2-game win streak, and they host the Patriots this Sunday. So they very well could have a 3-game win streak heading into Thanksgiving night. So after Tua got hurt, it really seemed like the Dolphins can't do anything without him. And I know that Tua gets a lot of flack for not being an elite QB, but it's pretty clear that when he's not there, the Dolphins are a completely different team. And they only won 1 game when he was on IR. But the Dolphins have shown that in recent years, they don't play well in the later parts of the season, and they seem to struggle in the cold. And I'm not going to hold that game against the Chiefs last year in the wild card against them because it was like -10. So it's kind of hard to expect any team to perform that well in those conditions. I don't think this game's going to be a blowout, but it's just one of those games that I'm pretty confident the Packers are going to win. So I think the next 2 games, the Packers win. So now we move on to Week 14, where the Packers head to Detroit. This game is interesting. Detroit just beat us at Lambeau, but they beat us at Lambeau last year, and then we went into Detroit on Thanksgiving and beat the shit out of them. So this is a game that it's so hard to call because it's a divisional game, and it's so hard to get 2 wins over a team in your division. But Detroit's just been on fire this year. Their offense is a juggernaut. Jared Goff's been playing good besides that game against the Texans last week. So I think this game could go either way, but I think I'm going to give it to Detroit just because I just trust Detroit a little bit more. They seem a little bit more consistent. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers win a close one. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I think it'll be close, but I have Detroit winning that. Then, the second road game in a row, we travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. And the Seahawks started out hot, and then they kind of shit the bed for a while, and now they've been playing good again. They just beat the 49ers. Seattle's just one of those places just hard to play. So, again, with Detroit, I don't know how this game is going to go. I think Seattle might win this, so I think the Packers might drop 2 in a row, which is fine. It still puts us at 9-5 with 3 games remaining on the schedule. And then that takes us to Week 16 against the Saints at Lambeau. This game, I'm not going to waste too much time on. I think the Packers get the win. If I'm correct, they'll be coming off a 2-game losing streak, so they'll be desperate to get the win here. It's at home. It's late in the season. Saints have been better since they fired their head coach, but I still don't see him getting the win here, so that'll bring the Packers to 10-5. So then we end the year with 2 division games, at Minnesota and then at home against the Bears. So against the Vikings, again, Vikings came into Lambeau earlier this year, took a huge lead. The Packers almost came back, but Vikings ended up getting the win. So this could be another repeat of New Year's Eve last year where the Packers go into US Bank Stadium and show them that what you guys did to us at Lambeau is not how this is going to go every single time. So I think the Packers beat the Vikings. I think the Packers are a better team, and I think the Vikings just showed up at the right time with Jordan Love coming off the injury, and they played a better game. Jordan Love was sloppy. He was throwing interceptions. He looked like he was off the bench, which is fine. I mean, I'm not going to hold that against him. He made some really bad throws in that game. But the Packers offense just took too long to get going. And I think if the Packers had got their offense going a little bit sooner in that game, then that might have been a different result. But Vikings defense has been good. So I think the Packers get the win in Minnesota, and they head into Week 18 at 11-5. And I think at this point they will have clinched a playoff spot. And this last game against the Bears will just it'll just determine what seeding they have and who they're going to play. Because I don't think the Packers are going to win the division. I think that ship has sailed. So I think the last game of the season is going to determine if we're going to be the 5th or the 6th seed. So going into Week 18, last week of the season, I think that the Packers will beat the Bears at home. I think it'll be the same result as last year. I don't think this will be a scenario where the Packers will be resting anybody because I think they'll have something to play for. If the Packers were the number 1 seed or maybe the number 2 seed, then I could see them maybe resting some of their starters, but they could still be playing for 1 or 2 seeds higher at this point. So I think the Packers will have all of their starters in, and I think the Packers will get the win. Sorry, Bears fans. I think the Bears will beat the Packers in the near future, but not this year. So that means I have the Packers finishing at 11-6, which is really good record, and I think that is what I had them finishing at the beginning of the year. So I think the Packers, they could afford to drop one more game, maybe one of those last 3. Let's hope not, but I think 4-3 going down the stretch will be enough to get them into the playoffs, but 3-4, it could get iffy because how competitive the NFC's been. So yeah, let's hope the Packers finish at 11-6 or better and go on to win the Super Bowl.